Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a Mysteria deck. This has been modified from my previous Mysteria videos, if you've watched those from last expansion. Really, we just swapped out some of the cards that weren't able to be used anymore due to, of course, rotating out in rotation. So I've included 3 of the new student teacher card, as I thought it was worth giving it a shot, and it's pretty mediocre, honestly. I'm probably actually going to take in more of this bronze, as I find it a lot more useful. But it's still alright, and I wanted to give it a fair go for a video. We'll probably be checking back in on Mysteria in a week or so's time to really give it a good modification, as we still are in the early stages of the expansion, and we're not going to see super refined decks. And of course, decks like Dragon are absolutely crowding everything, so we're going to get right into it and check it out. Okay, so kicking our first match off is against Dragon. As I mentioned, Dragon is super common, especially Coyotes Dragon. I do plan on covering that deck again. I did a brief coverage, obviously, as the first video that we did, but that, of course, will be reasonably outdated by this point, and I want to cover it in depth once we've got a bit more of a refinement done. Plus, I am thinking, well, at this stage, by the time this video comes out for you guys, I will have competed in a recent tournament, so I should have a better grip on what cards have been going around, at least. Knight of Mysteria is a pretty decent way to start off and get us some cards. Getting the 4-drop in this situation isn't too bad because we can easily line up 3 into turn 4. Really, the turn 4 just feels a little iffy when I play it most of the time. It just is an awkward one to really get to hit the board. So I definitely think I want to favour the 3-drop more, or just swap it out for a whole nother card altogether. Maybe just a card that's purely value, similar to why we run things like Truth Adjudication, Nova Flare, and Magic Missile, that all use different kind of features. So there is True Dragon. These Dragon decks have definitely been pretty insane. I may end up playing Dragon most of this expansion, at least if it continues to be as good as it appears to be right now. So we did get lucky and get the Mysteria Missile. I just, of course, take the Evo first, making sure not to misplay that and make sure that I can get the Mysterian right down to a 3 cost without having to worry. While getting a little bit of damage in. And of course, our opponent has been ramping up pretty insanely this entire game. I mean, they're basically 3 play points ahead of me and they're going second, so they're already 1 behind, which is pretty crazy. So we do want to wipe this, and Nova Flare is a good option. I did miss the chance to do at least 1 damage there. If I had played that a little bit better, getting that 1 damage might have helped us long term. But as far as things go right now, we did a fairly decent job. And there is the Prince of Coyotes, or Cocytus. Prince of Cocytus sounds much better. Anyway, Cocytus. Yeah, I suppose it just depends on pronunciation, doesn't it? I mean, he says Cocytus, but I'm pretty sure Japan mostly goes for Cocytus, so interesting. So mainly we're just going to be pinging this away, setting ourselves up nicely, hoping that our Truth Adjudication can probably end this game for us without much trouble. If we want to take advantage of that, of course. I don't think Truth Adjudication has a decent stat yet, but we'll just have to wait and see. Fiery Embrace is not a bad option, but pinging that 1 first, and then going for the Truth Adjudication, hoping for 3 of the hits to hit that. Luckily we end up with 5, more than enough to end this game and take it against the Dragon player. Definitely the best way to do things, kill them off before they can go big. Next up is Forest. I've seen a lot of players experimenting with aggro Forest to try and beat out Dragon in particular. That seems to be quite a popular matchup as well. As I think, for memory, after looking at a few of these decks and seeing a few other people play them, it appears that aggro Forest at least has a positive matchup against Dragon because it is so fast. You can just outvalue most of the time. And that's probably what they're going to be aiming for in this matchup as well. We have got a fairly decent start though. The Magic Missile isn't a bad card to have. It does get us that early draw power. I'm not a big fan of that though. That card is a little bit of a problem for me to deal with, as I don't have straight up removal yet. So every time it does this, it becomes harder and harder for me to deal with it. Especially since it gains its stats back. And of course, I had to have a turn 4 play. So, Genius isn't bad. I mean, Beginning Genius, it's okay. It's much more of a late game card though. And there goes the Carbuncle. Probably going to be too slow to take full advantage of it in this matchup. Alright, all we need is decent removal. And that's not the worst possible card to get, but it's also not the best. So we are going to want to take out the Carbuncle just because it is a 4-2. I don't mind taking even just a little bit of damage here if I have to. Now it's just a matter of, can we eradicate the rest of this board effectively? And can we make sure to run them out of damage as fast as possible? This is looking very promising though. I mean, Grey's Inferno, plus the fact we're going to get a double Mysteria boost, we're going to have to clear this board, and at the same time keep a 4-3. So, pretty happy with how that played out. And we got a pretty nice setup for next turn. So there is a Ray Elspeth and another Mind Reader. That should be their third one at least, so I mean, we shouldn't have to deal with any more once we remove it. Even if it's an annoying card. I can definitely see it being a huge advantage against Dragon though, which is why most people probably run it. So Mysteria Missile, kill it off without having to take any potential damage. Wind Blast to get rid of this 4-4, and we're pretty much set up at this point. We've got 2 hands at 2, which should drop fairly quickly. We've also got our Fate's Hand to draw some more cards, and a Fiery Embrace to remove anything big. And the Fill, definitely a good one to go with. But we're going to remove that fairly easily. Should actually allow us to take this game fairly quickly, which our opponent does end up just conceding on that, but really, Fiery Embrace and Ands would really close this game very, very quickly for us, I reckon. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. While I did say that Student Teacher isn't the best card, it is definitely still an okay one. The Subtract 1 from Mysteria card is okay on the Evo, but honestly, it's not as worthwhile as I would like it to be. I still feel like it's a little bit of a clunky card. Like, Beginning Genius also being a Mysteria card is okay, but dropping below 20 only works if you're going up against another either Mysteria deck or a Control-y type deck. I find that Mysterian Spell Nerd is just slightly better because you do get the Mysterian Circle, and if you have to evolve it, you at least get Mysterian Right, which is basically just a smaller Light Mage. So in the early game, like turn 4-ish, if you don't have a Light, this isn't a bad card to play to boost other Mysteria cards like Anne, or potentially the Light that you may have just drawn. So it's definitely not overall bad for a Bronze card. I think it's pretty reasonable. And for a Mysteria card, it's definitely pretty okay, but I want to experiment with a few more cards, so probably in the next few videos later, like next week sometime, I'll cover one that's a little more refined down, and hopefully that'll do a little bit better. So until next time guys, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find deck lists in the description below. See ya.